you want to pull that up with me in your textbook on page 178, stage 2, working with styles. I know there was a lot going on in stage 1, so make sure that you hang out afterwards today during virtual lab if you have questions about that or if you got behind, so that I can help you with that. So I'm going to try to move through this quickly, or as best as I can. So on page 180, we're going to start with applying the template styles. So the first thing we want to do is place that text into our document here. So I'm going to go to File, Place, and look for the aerospace folder that you downloaded from Against the Clock. And it's called Apollo History Doc. So it's a Word document. So we're using a Word document, Apollo History, and then I want to select Show Import Options, and I'm going to deselect Replace Selected Items. So I just want to check Show Import Options for this Apollo History Doc, and then click Open, and then it will open this window that allows you to choose some options for your Microsoft Word. So, and this is an option for you too. Like if you want to copy and paste your article into Microsoft Word and then save that document, then you can place that Word document into your InDesign file, or you can copy and paste it directly to InDesign. But when I was working with books, all the files I got from my authors were in a Word document. So I'd have to place it this way. So I'm going to use the default. I want to use typographer's quotes. I want to check preserve styles and formatting from text and table. So I want to preserve the styles that have been formatted in the Microsoft Word document. I want to import the styles automatically. And then for paragraph and character style conflicts, so if there's a paragraph style name in the Word document, it's going to import it and automatically rename that style. So I want to select auto rename so that it's going to automatically rename it. Okay, you can see the screenshot on page 180 as well if you're following in your textbook. So I'm going to click OK now. Then I want to click my cursor inside my text frame. So remember last time we created a 3-column text frame. So I'm going to click inside one of the columns to place the Word document inside that text frame. Now you can see that red plus sign, that overset text icon. It's telling me the text is not all fitting in this frame right now. But that's because we haven't formatted it to the paragraph and character styles. So this is where you want to make sure you're in the typography workspace. I have created my own workspace here, but if you select typography, that should give you most of the panels that you need for working with text. So I would go ahead and use the typography workspace. And then I'm going to put my cursor inside the text frame, and I'm going to have to select my text tool or type tool. I'm going to click T on the keyboard to switch to my type tool. And then I can put my, there we go. All right, then I can put my cursor in that first paragraph. So I have the hidden characters on so you can see where the paragraph returns are. I want to put my cursor somewhere in the first paragraph, which happens to be the title of the article. Then I'm going to open up my paragraph styles. In this document, there are already paragraph styles created here from Against the Clock. If you were to just create a new document, it wouldn't have any styles in it. You have to create the styles. But these styles were already created by Against the Clock. I'll show you another time how you can create your own styles, but for now we're just going to use the ones that have already been done for us. All we have to do is apply them. So you'll notice that this first paragraph shows that it's got a normal style. That's a Microsoft Word thing. So I want to get rid of that. I don't want that Microsoft Word normal text style. So instead, I'm going to choose a style that's already been created in InDesign. I want to choose the main head. That is the main heading style. under paragraph styles. So now it automatically adopts the style. If I double click on main head under paragraph styles, I can see what styles have been applied and created. So this is ATC Onyx, it's bold, 24 over 28.8 leading. If I can click even on things like advanced character formatting, indents, spacing, character color. So you can see this Pantone color has been added to this style. So that's all already been formatted. I don't need to do anything except select it at this point. Then I'm going to go to the next paragraph. This is really the first paragraph of the article, and that's going to be a style that has a drop cap. So I'm going to select first paragraph drop cap under paragraph styles. And now you can see there's a drop cap that's been added to it. So if I double click on that style, I can go to drop caps and nested styles and see that this drop cap takes up 3 lines of text, and it's just going to make the first character a drop cap, and it's going to align it to the left edge. Okay, so that's just so I can see what that style is. Now the next paragraph, I'm going to select a subhead style. Then the paragraph after that, I don't want to select the first drop cap style again because I don't want 2 drop caps from an article. You only need 1 drop cap because that shows you where to start. If you have more than 1 drop cap, then it's even more confusing because you don't know where to start reading. So for this paragraph, I'm going to use the first paragraph no drop cap style. So it's the same text style as this one, but there's no drop cap. All right, then all these other paragraphs, I'm going to highlight all the text up until the next subheading and select body copy. So that's my body text style. And you'll notice under body copy style, there is an indented paragraph, an indent for each paragraph. As a general rule, you want to choose either to indent your paragraph or to use a line space. So if I were decided I wanted to use a line space, then I do not want an indent here. I would want to get rid of that indent. So I would have to go to character, or actually I'd have to go to paragraph and get rid of the indent here. And do that for every paragraph. So you do either or. You don't want to create an indent. Let me go back to paragraph styles. Go back to that no drop cap style. I got rid of the indent, so I got to, but let's just say that's my, you don't want a line space and an indent. Okay, that's too much, so you want to choose one or the other. So in this case, we're just going to use the indent. So I'm going to have to add that indent back in. Okay, so now I'm just going to format the rest of this quickly. So I'm going to use the subhead. This is going to be first paragraph, drop cap or no drop cap? Anyone want to jump in?
No drop cap.
Thank you, no drop cap. So because we only want 1 drop cap per article. Then all the rest of this is body copy, subhead, no drop cap, and then this last paragraph, body copy again. All right, one thing that you'll notice here, and I gotta see where I am in the textbook in case y'all are following along here. All right, I'm on page 184 in the textbook on step 4. If you notice this last paragraph, it looks different than the other body text. So this body text, the regular body text is ATC Coral, but this last paragraph is still Minion Pro. And if you look at the paragraph styles, there is a plus sign next to body copy. Anytime you see a plus sign next to the style name, it means that it is not adopting the style. There's been some change or some variance from the style. So in this case, it is a different font. And so to fix that, you can just click on this override button near the trash can. It's the clear overrides button. So if I click on that, and let me highlight this entire paragraph here, it's going to override that variance. So now it's going to adopt the body copy style again and adapt that. So now it's back to ATC Coral. So if I wanted to change this to italic, for example, I would go to character and I could change this from the normal font to italic. But then if I go back to paragraph styles, that plus sign shows up again, and that just means that it's a variant. It's not the same font that this body copy style is set to. It should be ATC Coral normal, but I want it to be, if I want it to be italic, I can just manually go in and select italic. Just know that's what the plus sign means. Okay, so then we're going to go on to the next page, page 185. I'm going to fit my page in view. So notice this title here looks weird because we've got these narrow columns, right? Is that easy to read? I hope you're saying no. It is not easy to read because the words are all broken up. We've got bad word breaks. So that's what a bad word break is. It makes it harder to read, especially because they're capitalized. You don't ever want to break up a capitalized word or proper noun. So we're going to fix that. Go to paragraph and then select the options menu and then go to span columns. And check the preview so you can see what's happening. I want to select under paragraph layout span columns, and that's going to span that whole paragraph across all of the columns in that text frame. And then I'm going to click on the up arrow after space after span just to give a little bit more space after that paragraph. If I don't do that, you can see the descenders, like the Y is running into the next line. So you want to avoid that by just opening up that spacing a bit. And then I'm going to click OK. Let me zoom in. You all see where that was? All right, so I spanned this across, added a little bit of line space after the paragraph. Okay, then we're going to move on to page 186, and we're going to control an automatic text frame size. So what we're going to do now is put a sidebar in this empty area down here. I'm going to click on my rectangle shape tool, and I'm just going to click on the page, or you can just click and drag. But if you just click, this will pop up and you can type in the width and the height. So I know that my width is going to be 3.625 and then hit tab. My height is going to be 2 inches for this sidebar box. Okay, then I can use my properties panel and place it exactly where I want to using the XY coordinates. So I want to place it at 5 by 7. So now it's sitting right at the baseline here, and the right edge is on the bleed margin. And I'm going to use my swatches menu to make this, to fill it with this Pantone color, and I want to tint it back or fade it back to 20%. And I want to get rid of this stroke by selecting none. So I don't want any stroke around it. Okay, so now I have my sidebar box. Then I want to place some text inside this frame. So go to File, Place, and this time in that same folder from Against the Clock, I want to select the Apollo Science Word document. So select Apollo Science. I don't need to show the import options this time. Just click Open and then click inside that frame to place the text. Again, we get the overset text icon. The text is not fitting in that frame, so we're going to fix that. We can use the Properties panel and go to the text frame options. I'm going to switch to my selection tool here to bring up text frame. So if you scroll down, you can see text frame options. So I can click on options, and it brings up this text frame options box. Then I want to select on the left side auto size. And I want to turn the auto sizing on for the height only. And I want to select the bottom as my baseline. So the bottom is not going to change. Only the height of this box is going to change. My width and the height are also going to remain the same. The only thing that's going to automatically resize is the height. So it's resizing it to fit the text inside the frame. So now all of my text is fitting within the frame, and the height only adjusts to accommodate for all the text inside there. So that's why we selected height only. And then I can click OK. Now it's still not there yet. We still need to do some formatting. Still going to use the text frame options here. In the textbook, we're going to go on to page 188, step number 10. So then I'm going to actually go to my paragraph styles. Okay, then I'm going to switch to my type tool, clicking on the letter T on the keyboard. So I'm going to select the styles just for the sidebar. So there's a sidebar head. So I'm going to select sidebar head. Then the rest of the text is all sidebar copy. Now that text frame automatically adjusts because the type size got smaller, so the height of the box or frame got smaller too. Okay, I'm going to zoom in on here. There's still some more formatting that we need to do. We need to change the inset wrap. And we need to create a text wrap. So remember, I'm going to go to my selection tool and select this bounding box. One of the requirements for your personal newsletter is to have a text wrap. So we want the text behind here to wrap around this sidebar frame. So select the text wrap. It looks like this here under the typography workspace. And I'm going to select wrap around bounding box. Now you can wrap around an object shape, but I'm going to select wrap around the bounding box. Make sure when you do this on your personal newsletters that you have selected a text wrap and you've also selected a margin for your text wrap. So for my outside margin for the text wrap, I'm going to click on the up arrow until it reads 0.1875. So you can see that text wrap margin. That's the amount of space in between the text wrapping around and the object it's wrapping around. Okay, then I want to select an inset margin for the inside of the sidebar frame because this text is too close to the edge of the frame. That also makes it hard to read and it looks crowded. So I'm going to go to paragraph and then actually I can go to properties and then select, I'm going to switch to my type tool. And then I can select the text frame options. Let me switch back to my selection tool because I don't see it. There it is. So I'm going to select it with my selection tool, then look at text frame, then click options. Another shortcut is Command B as in boy. So if you just hit Command B as in boy, it'll bring up the text frame options box here. So then I can use this frame to select an inset spacing. So I want to give an inset spacing, I'm going to turn my chain on to 0.125, that eighth of an inch. So it's got an eighth of an inch inset margin inside that frame. And then for the right side, I'm going to break the chain. Remember the right side, I have the margin that I don't want the text to run off of. So I'm going to increase the size of my right margin to 0.625 and then click OK. And then you can see that will fit within my page margin that's half an inch here because you don't want the text to go outside of the page margin because it could be trimmed off. Okay, again, you can go back to your, go ahead, question?
So when you were selecting it, you selected the text box or the...
Yeah, I selected with the selection tool, the
Okay.
entire text frame.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I know if this is going too fast, you can ask me to slow down or stop me. You can also go back and preview the recording once it's up. All right, next, page 190. With this sidebar frame still selected, we've already added the text wrap, so I just went ahead and did that. So we're going to move on to the next page on page 191. And I'm going to switch to my type tool. So if you double click in the frame, it'll switch automatically to the type tool. So you see where that cursor is. So what the textbook is going to have you do on page 191 is go through and set the indents and reset the indents using bullets and numbering. Because these are already numbered, what we want to do is we want to create a hanging indent. So that's important that you don't, it's going to be a lot easier to read if we create an indent on the next line so that the number 1 is hanging off by itself. And so an easier way for me is I'm going to go off book and show you how I like to do it. If you want to go back and do the textbook way, you can go back to page 191. The way I like to do my hang indents, especially if I don't have that many hang indents here, I just put my cursor before the first letter of the word for the first line and then hit a command backslash on the keyboard, and that automatically creates a hang indent. So see how that second line now matches the indent of the first line, and the number 1 is hanging by itself. So I'm going to do that for all of these, command backslash. All right, and then I can hide my hidden characters and my guidelines so you can see that better. So you can see that's a lot easier to read now. They read as numbered listed items. All right, so I just find that way easier than the textbook does it. So then we're going to go on to page 193. I'm going to fit my page in view. So we're pretty much done with this first page. Then we're going to go to the second page. So go to the Pages panel and double click on page 2. And I'm going to turn my guidelines back on. Now we want to paste a text back here. So this is really like 2 articles in 1 newsletter. This is 1 article, then we've got the sidebar, then on page 2, there's another article here. They're short articles. So for yours, your text will probably run over to the back page and your article will just continue on to the back page. So this one, we've got like 2 different articles in 1. So I'm going to go to File, Place, and select yet another Word document. So let's see, what's this one called? This is at the end of page 192, it's Blackbird Air Park doc. So select Blackbird Air Park doc. I don't need to show import options, just click open, click inside the text frame on the right, and that places the text in here. Open your paragraph styles again, and we're going to format it to the back styles. So the first paragraph is the back head, then the rest of the text is back copy. I'm going to zoom in here because where it says included in the Blackbird Air Park collection are : there are some listed items. So there's 6 itemized list items here that we want to add bullet points to. So if you go to paragraph, not the paragraph styles, but the paragraph menu, click on the options menu on the upper right, and you can select bullets and numbering. And then I can select bullets. So I'm going to select under list type bullets, and you can select a bullet character. So then you can see because the preview is checked, I can see the bullets. However, I want to decrease the amount of space here. I want to close that gap because that gap is too big in between the bullet point and the itemized list. So then I can adjust that in the bullet or number position. Oh, I'm sorry, in the textbook, it says to select the star. So you could select the star bullet character instead of the circle. That's on page 193. First indent, you want to increase it to 1/4 inch. All right, so that moves the bullet points in 1/4 inch. And then for the first line indent, I can decrease that to -0.125 to close that space up between the bullet item and the item. Okay, then I can click OK. I'm going to fit my page in view and review under pages, page 1 and page 2. So this completes the end of stage 2, so you could go ahead and save your file as stage 2. So I can go to File, Save As, and if I'm going to save this on my desktop, and I could save it in here. One more thing I want to show you though before I let y'all go, because this is going to pertain to the newsletter that you're working on personally. Remember that you need a pull quote for your newsletter. So let's say I want to put a pull quote here instead of a sidebar. I'm going to zoom in here and hide my guidelines for now. Let's say I want to use this quote in here. Okay, Houston, we have a problem here. So I'm just going to copy that quote using Command C. And then let's say I'm going to paste it into the sidebar here. So instead of a sidebar, I'm just going to put a pull quote in here. And then I can format it however I want. I can go to character and I can make this, let's make this a larger text size. I'm going to go with 18 points, and then I want to center it. Then maybe I want to move it up somewhere else and make it span across 2 columns, something like that. Okay. Then I can go in, let's say I'm going to adjust this to a different size so it all fits on one line. I can adjust the text wrap if I need to, but there's an example of a pull quote. And then if I wanted to make this pull quote a style, then I could use that same style on my other page if I wanted another pull quote, let's say. I can create a paragraph style or a character style. So I'm going to zoom in here and put my cursor in my paragraph, go to paragraph styles, and then I'm going to hold down the Option key and click on the Create New Paragraph Style button. And then this brings up the new paragraph style box, and I can call this pull quote. So this is going to be pull quote style, and it's going to adopt whatever styles I have where my cursor is going to adopt those styles. So this is set to ATC Coral Normal. The size is 17 points over about 20 point leading. All right, so I can go ahead and click OK. Then if I wanted to use that style somewhere else, let's say in this paragraph, I would just select pull quote, and it's going to adopt that pull quote style to it. All right, I'm going to undo that for now. So that's just an example of one way you can use a pull quote. There's lots of different ways that you can use pull quotes. And I'll show, I know I've been talking a long time, but I'm just going to show real quick, and I'll go into more detail next class. But this is that Compass, that financial newsletter I showed as an example before that I worked on. So I'm just going to run through this and show you some different ways that I use pull quotes. Now this is a really long newsletter, but you can see here's an example where I use a pull quote over on or on top of an image. Just if you do that, you want to make sure that it reads well over the image behind it. You could, like there's a drop shadow here. You can make sure the image is dark enough or light enough to read with the text over it. So that's one way you can use a pull quote. So it serves as a pull quote and kind of like a caption too. You create a frame behind your pull quote. You could add color to it. If it's a long pull quote, you could divide up the color. There's some infographic examples, stock photo examples. Here's another one where the pull quote is placed over an image. Again, you want to make sure that it's readable over that image if you do that. Next class, I will talk about tables. I'll show you more tables and how to format a table in stage 3.